Have you ever wondered what really happens behind the closed doors of a royal palace when the cameras are gone? What if the greatest decision about the future of Spain wasn't made in parliament or during an official ceremony, but during one deeply private conversation between a father and his daughter? Today's story explores one such possibility. It is a completely fictional drama inspired by public figures. None of the events you're about to hear are presented as factual. Instead, imagine a world where duty, trust, and family collide in ways the public could never imagine. Let's begin. The palace had finally fallen silent. The grand corridors, usually filled with advisors, security officers, and royal staff, echoed with nothing more than distant footsteps. Outside, Madrid slept peacefully beneath the glow of the city lights. Inside King Felipe's private office, however, sleep was the last thing on anyone's mind. The king stood beside a tall window overlooking the palace gardens. His hands rested behind his back as he stared into the darkness. A quiet knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in." Princess Leonor entered alone. She wore no ceremonial uniform, no formal dress, and no royal smile. Tonight she appeared simply as a daughter answering her father's request. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Finally, Felipe gestured toward a chair. "Sit." Leonor obeyed. She sensed immediately this was not another discussion about official appearances or military training. Something was different. Felipe slowly closed the office door himself. For a king to do that personally instead of allowing staff to handle it meant complete privacy. "No aides," he said softly. "No secretaries. No advisors. Only us." Leonor nodded. "I understand." Felipe walked back to his desk but remained standing. "I've spent years preparing you for the crown." She listened carefully. "I taught you protocol. I taught you responsibility. But there's one lesson I've avoided." Leonor looked puzzled. "What lesson?" Felipe answered quietly. "How lonely the crown truly becomes." Silence filled the room. For the first time, Leonor noticed exhaustion on her father's face, not physical exhaustion but emotional weight. The kind no ceremony could hide. "I've protected you from that truth. But I can't anymore." Leonor leaned forward. "What happened?" Felipe smiled faintly. "Nothing happened. Everything happened." He explained that every royal decision carried invisible consequences. Every speech was analyzed, every smile interpreted, every silence criticized. Even ordinary family moments became international headlines. "You stop living for yourself. You begin living for history." Leonor lowered her eyes. She had experienced pieces of that pressure already. But hearing her father admit it openly changed everything. Then Felipe surprised her. "I don't want you to inherit only the throne. I want you to inherit something better." "What?" "My trust." The room became completely still. Felipe reached into a drawer. He removed a plain envelope. No royal seal, no official markings, only Leonor's name written across the front. "What is it?" "It's an agreement." She looked confused. "An official document?" Felipe shook his head. "No, a promise." Leonor carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a single handwritten page. There were only 3 promises written on it. Promise 1. Never sacrifice your humanity to protect your image. Promise 2. Always tell me the truth, even when the truth disappoints me. Promise 3. If the crown ever threatens our family, choose the family first. Leonor read the page twice. Then a third time. She looked up. "These aren't royal rules." Felipe smiled. "Exactly. They're our rules." Leonor felt emotion rising in her chest. She had expected instructions. Instead she found vulnerability. "But why now?" Felipe answered honestly. "Because one day I won't be here to remind you." Those words hit harder than either expected. For several moments neither spoke. Outside, rain began tapping softly against the palace windows. Leonor folded the paper carefully. "I'll keep it." Felipe stopped her. "Not yet." He reached for another sheet. "This one is blank." She frowned. "What do you want me to do?" "Write 3 promises of your own." Leonor hesitated, then picked up the pen. She thought for nearly a minute. Finally she began writing. Her handwriting remained steady despite her emotions. When she finished, she handed the page back. Felipe read silently. The first promise read, "I will never pretend to be someone I am not just to satisfy public expectations." The second read, "I will remember that leadership begins by listening." The third made Felipe pause. "I will never let fear become the reason I make history." Felipe slowly lowered the paper. "You wrote these yourself?" "Yes." He nodded proudly. "I believe you." Then something unexpected happened. Instead of filing the papers into palace archives, instead of placing them inside a royal safe, Felipe lit the fireplace. Leonor watched in surprise. What are you doing? He handed her both pages. If this becomes a document, it becomes politics. If it remains between us, it remains family. Leonor understood. Together they placed both handwritten pages into the fire. The flames slowly consumed every word. No copies, no photographs, no witnesses, only memory. Leonor smiled. So now no one will ever know. Felipe looked toward the fire. Exactly. The strongest promises don't need signatures. Hours passed as father and daughter continued talking. Not about governments, not about ceremonies, not about constitutional responsibilities. Instead they spoke about ordinary life. Favorite childhood memories, family holidays, mistakes, regrets, dreams. For one evening, the king wasn't speaking to the future queen. He was simply speaking to his daughter. Leonor later admitted something she had never said aloud. I'm afraid. Felipe looked at her calmly. So was I. You were. Every single day. She laughed softly. You never showed it. A leader doesn't hide fear. A leader learns how to carry it. Those words stayed with Leonor. Near midnight, the palace clock chimed 12 times. Felipe knew the conversation had reached its natural end. He stood. So, do we have a pact? Leonor stood as well. No. Felipe raised an eyebrow. She smiled warmly. We have something stronger. Without another word she embraced her father. No cameras. No photographers. No official announcement. Only a father and daughter sharing a moment history would never record. As Leonor walked toward the door, Felipe called her name. She turned. When you're queen someday. She waited. Remember tonight. She nodded. I will. The office door closed quietly behind her. Felipe remained alone beside the dying fire. For the first time in many months, he felt something unexpected. Peace. Not because the future had become certain, but because trust had finally replaced doubt. Far beyond the palace walls, the world continued speculating about royal politics, succession, and public appearances. No newspaper would ever report what had happened that evening. No historian would discover evidence. No documentary would reveal the conversation. Because some of the most important moments in a family's life leave no official record. Only the people who live them carry the memory. And perhaps that is exactly how the strongest promises are meant to survive. Not through ink, not through headlines, but through quiet choices repeated every single day. Whether such a secret pact could ever exist, no one can truly know. But if a future monarch learns compassion from a father before learning power from a crown, perhaps that would become the greatest royal legacy of all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this fictional royal story inspired by public figures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next story.